when this is over, there'll be consequences, not only
Yes.
financial, but
The
there.
fallout's going to be worse.
Yeah, the whole conspiracy thing. I mean, anyone who thinks there's no conspiracies, it doesn't live in the same planet. I mean,
They don't believe Bible prophecy then.
No, they don't.
you just go to your workplace. If you work out there, you don't tell me there aren't people conspiring to do things.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there's somebody conspiring to do something.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly in the government. Now, it's interesting that in James goes after the rich in a big way in his epistle, and he says there's a special judgment for the rich at the end of the age.
Yeah.
And not for being rich, okay? There's nothing wrong with being rich. There's a lot of great people out there that are rich. But there's a rich elite of these billionaires that are that are atheistic, that hate God if they're not atheistic. And most atheists hate God. That's, they believe in God, they just hate him. So they're atheists, and they want a complete makeover of the earth. And they're not shy about saying it.
They want a global technocracy.
They do. And I'm sorry, if you think this is crazy, you'll find out. They're behind the scenes pulling strings right now.
Yeah.
And it's been decided that America has to go down.
Yes.
That decision was made in Obama's day. That was clear. We have George Soros and all his buddies working hard to bring America down.
And it was the Lord who stopped the plan for a while.
And when you look at the 6 billion or whatever, 6 trillion that we're throwing out now, and they haven't even started. Somewhere along the line, as far as timeline, I think the bankers are going to pull the switch soon on the whole global economy. They're going to reset everything. And they can do that, and they can reset it, and they're going to take us to a cashless society. They're preparing this vaccine as a way to get the chip. Everybody's going to get a chip, and everybody's going to be, monitored and watched. They're already doing this with our cell phones.
Yes.
Of course.
If we've seen many documentaries on it. They can follow us everywhere.
Yep.
And this is where they're taking us to the system that's going to be the global system that's going to bring in the Antichrist. He's going to sit on and rule. We're talking, in my opinion, we have about 10 years before this thing gets fully, materializes. And then we're going to be coming close to the 70th week. All right? So America must go down, and that could be a civil war. We don't know what's going to happen here. But I'm not saying it'll be obliterated, but we may change totally our structure. Also, we could have a world war right now. We're certainly going to have one in Israel. We're certainly going to have one in the Middle East. That's not going to be just missiles and things. It's going to be life. It's going to change the whole Middle East.
Absolutely.
So Russia and China want U.S. down.
Absolutely.
So what are they going to do? I mean, we see if this virus, and what is our government going to do if they really face the reality that this was done on purpose?
I want you to finish, but just one thing is important here.
I'm pretty much finished with that.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying that the one thing that we definitely know now, this is fact, which was called a conspiracy theory from propagandists. Is that it could have very well been an accident in how it would escape that lab. It could have been. Either way, it doesn't matter whether it was purposed or an accident. Even let's just take the accident. It was purposeful how China handled it. That is a fact. China purposefully decided that, wow, this is on us. We have people dying. We have to. Now, the reason why I think the accident thing makes more sense is the fact that why would they try to crash their economy? And they had to, because they had to lock things down. They had to literally lock people in their own homes to die.
But Mike, they don't care. They're communist dictators.
Yes, but they blocked off travel to the rest of China. But they purposefully made the decision.
Right.
We are now going to use this for our goals. We are going to hurt America. I think that was the goal. They said, now we have a chance. They let them all go to the rest of the world. That was a purposeful decision. That was not an accident.
No question.
Purposeful.
I think that's out now. But the thing is, why was this person meddling? Why were they messing with this virus to start with? That's another question.
Well, I read some about that.
Yeah.
They were trying to be a virology lab. Like, we have virology labs that do the same exact thing here in America, but they were trying
I know.
not us.
I know.
But anyway.
Back to the scenario. I think when it's all said and done, it's all about Israel.
Yes, amen. Absolutely. 2 world wars were about Israel.
2 world wars. And whatever's coming is about Israel. Now, look at Israel and you see a complete stalemate here.
Yep.
It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And they are surrounded on every side, and they can't put a government together.
Yeah.
So we're in a crisis that's going to... Now, see, they all have they're going to do the crisis, and they're going to use the crisis to advance their plan. That's what they do. But what they're not getting is that God uses the crisis to advance his plan.
Yes.
Amen.
And he uses their plan to advance his plan. And so I think we're going to see something this year, some kind of a breakthrough that's going to bring a change in the Israel situation. Ultimately, what's going on there has to do with the temple.
Yep.
Everything there now is about the spiritual restoration of the nation. And we know they must go first with the Antichrist before they're going to go back to the Messiah. So we could see that whole thing turn around in a year or so, and them actually start building something. We could. It's very possible. I've always thought, for years I thought that, when the treaty comes, it would establish the building of the temple. But that doesn't make sense anymore to me. Because 3.5 years to build a temple and start on. No, they're going to actually have the sacrifices going. So I think there's going to be a monumental shift in the way, notice they're all looking to China right now. You notice that? They're all getting their masks and their stuff from China, and Israel is deeply involved with China.
And China spent those months of lying to everyone, stockpiling medical supplies.
That's what all the politicians are coming out. They're thanking the Chinese for all the masks, all the ventilators, everything that's coming to this country, and we wouldn't have been able to fight this virus without the Chinese. So it's very.
And they purposely stockpiled it while they knew this was happening.
That does make sense on the timeline.
Yes, absolutely makes sense. Okay. What? I don't want to just repeat all the things you guys said, so I'm going to look at a couple other things. But that was obviously all different pieces of it. Couple of things, first of all. Obviously, we know the world is not going back the way it was before.
No.
The financial system is absolutely going to. I think we're talking. We knew we had the most booming economy in the world. Trump says it every time he speaks, and then bang, it got hammered. Because that booming economy went the opposite way of the global plan. And because of that, and one thing that I think is important to remember here. Okay, and let's get into this ties back with the propaganda, and I'm going to say some things that might tick some people off, but again, that's the way it is. Somebody's got to say it. Listen, Donald Trump very well may be brash. Fine, he's brash. All of those things are true, but he was handpicked by God.
Amen.
And that is absolutely completely true. And if you did what I talked about before about conspiracy theories and propaganda, the entire media, everything you see in the news, every television show you watch, every movie, everything you hear that is in that camp is telling you that he's the devil incarnate, that his Lucifer horns are sticking out at his orange face. Okay, it is just and you need to see it. How horrible it is that it is listen, they don't even know why they hate him. Just like people don't know why they hate Israel. If you're in the enemy's camp, you're against Israel. It doesn't matter which side. Just like, if you have Tony Blair and Osama bin Laden and Louis Farrakhan all agree on one thing. Israel is the problem. And we have to solve that. Right? So it's when your enemy's camp is the enemy's camp. Listen, and tying into Israel, it is all about Israel, because what is the number one thing that we always forget? Why is Donald Trump also hated so much by the globalists? And remember, what they want is a global technocracy, which China really is a technocracy. It's communist, but it's become a technocracy. Means that it is a technocratic experiment where it is a perfect design for the collection, that you are a part of the collective, and we run you as a system. You are not an individual. You are a system that we run. You understand? That's what they believe, and they wanted to bring down the human population. Is what Bill Gates and his father was. He was trained as a father was a leader in Planned Parenthood. That is their goal, and he's on record saying it. And they all have this. So anyway, I'm going to get into worldviews on Sunday, but what's important to remember is that Trump is about Israel, and this one is always forgot. Again, why is he hated again? He has been the most Israel-friendly president in U.S. history. And even you could say Reagan, no, he's been better than Reagan.
Yeah, yes.
Bush was a pretend friend who was a frenemy.
Yeah.
And Obama was a flat-out enemy.
Yes.
Okay? And the truth is that, remember, and so put it this way, Trump is always attacked for how mean he is, right? You want to talk about conspiracies? Here's a conspiracy. Same people that we were talking about before. Same person that you were talking about before, always going and believing. Oh, how could Trump say this about? How can he tweet that? How could? Oh my God, I vote for him, but oh my gosh. Never, ever, ever, ever mentioned that he was attacked by that person. That person said an evil thing about him, that they started it. Well, it's what they said. Never. It's only his reaction back that they mention or bring up. Never the fact that he's a counterpuncher, that he praises you, but then when you punch him, he hits you back between the eyes. Now, they're saying, well, that's not Christ-like. He's the president. I hope he comes to Jesus. All right? I really do. But the point is, he is there right now as a hammer. He's a hammer, right? To hold back this agenda until the Lord takes the hand off.
Oh, well,
that's what, right?
He's pretty hurting Hammer right now. I mean, I can see it on his face.
Yes, I think he's starting to realize that he's being played. I think he's starting to realize.
I hope so.
I hope so. But then again, remember, they came to him with all these models. And listen, even when you're looking at different sides, I've read this is the hardest thing to diagnose. I've read so many articles on every side, doctors, Christians, non-Christians, secular people, on every side of the political aisle, and no one seems to really know the real numbers and what's really going on. It is a total fog of war. It's the virus is real, but no one knows how powerful it is and really what it's doing. So it's literally almost seems like they're guessing and they're making it up as they go along. And I think they're setting him up to wring this whole economy and all of it around his neck. That's what they're setting him up for.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the only good news is that his opponents aren't very strong, but that's another whole story.
Yes, but. They knew that.
China thing. Just one more thing to add to what you said. People, it's hard to get this. I never got it for years, but I understand it now. When we think of a global government, we think China is not going to go with that, Russia is not going to go with that. But what we forget is the whole idea of this globalists. What they want is essentially a dictatorship, a global dictatorship. So the communist countries are actually already in that way of thinking.
Yep.
So they actually, China may be a part of the leadership of this global world system. That's something we hadn't really.
Why does the left love China? They actually love
their connection with the UN, their involvement in all of the various organizations of the UN tells us that they're conspiring for whatever reason to push this agenda forward.
Yep.
Yeah, but even if you think about it from the perspective too, if you want to say, people that love-hate relationship with China around the world, but the fact of the love for China is evident in the nations. What's the model we've been following in all the nations to deal with coronavirus? A communist country named China, and we've been locking down and trying to.
There's nothing about freedom and rights.
Yeah, exactly. That has been the implement for all the systems around the world.